Hi everybody, Jake here for FM Scout and welcome to today's video where we're looking at some teams that you guys could potentially manage in FM22. This is likely going to be one of a series of videos that we're going to be doing for the foreseeable future until FM22 drops. I've already done one video about some teams you could potentially manage as a beta save. There's also going to be videos on fallen giant teams, underdog teams, teams outside of Europe, teams with good youth facilities, long-term saves, short-term saves, all that kind of thing, so you guys can have such a broad range of ideas that hopefully you can find at least one save that will tickle your fancy. The focus of today's video, however, is going to be top division teams in Europe who have never won a league title. So for example, and they won't be one of the teams that we look at, but Brentford are in the Premier League, they've never won the Premier League. We're going to look at teams like that where the chances are these saves are probably going to be 2 to 4 seasons, I would imagine. It might take you to win the title with these teams, so there's going to be a variety of them across Europe. Hopefully at least one of these teams will be something that you might want to try. Drop a like on the video if you want to see more of this kind of content, and comment down below if you're going to manage one of these teams or if you've already got someone in mind that we didn't mention. So with that being said, I don't want to waste any more of your guys' time, so let's hop straight into the first league we'll look at, which is of course going to be the Premier League, where there are a fair few teams who have never won the top division. Brentford, as mentioned, Watford are one, but one that I think would represent a pretty good challenge in Football Manager is West Ham United. Now, as we know, David Moyes did a very good job with them last year, getting them into European football places. And at the start of the current season, they haven't really let up either. They're still looking pretty good. They've got a nice squad filled with some youth and some experienced talent. There might still need to be a little bit of work in de-aging the squad, but I think they've done a pretty good job in real life. One thing you might notice, of course, we're not on FM22 yet, that hasn't came out, so things in-game are subject to change. However, you can see I've got players like Kurt Zouma at West Ham already, which is of course a transfer that happened in the most recent transfer window, which isn't usually shown in FM21. So if you guys want to have that transfer update in your saves, feel free to check out the video I did about a week ago now on how to have the latest transfers in your FM21 saves. That's how I've got these players, in case anyone is wondering. But yeah, West Ham I think represent a very unique challenge in the fact that, I mean, they're quite a historical club. If you were to ask a West Ham fan, they'd probably also tell you that West Ham have actually won a World Cup, which of course isn't exactly true. But the story goes that many of the England 1966 team that won the only World Cup England have ever won contain quite a lot of West Ham players, so they've taken credit for that trophy too. But West Ham have never won a Premier Division title. In FM22, however, I think you'll have a pretty good chance within a 2, 3, 4 season period. Bear in mind the fact that you're going to start in European football, and assuming that you can keep staying in there with the team you've got, then I think you will have a very good chance of slowly building towards a league title. As I did mention, they've got a good base set of players. If you're talking about their first 11, you're featuring the likes of Declan Rice, if you can hang on to him. He is of course one of the highest regarded midfielders in the Premier League and an England international. They've recently brought in Kurt Zouma, who represents a pretty good centre-back option who's going to last a fair while. He's only 25, he's not getting too old yet, still got plenty of room in the tank. They've got Souček, who is very lethal in the air, in real life at least, and hopefully that's represented in Football Manager. And then a very good attack with the likes of Fornals, Vlasic, who has recently joined the club, he'll be an interesting prospect, Barron, Ben Rama, and of course Mikel Antonio up top. I think they represent a very good challenge. They're not there yet. I don't think they're anywhere near able to win the league in terms of their squad. I think if you kept this squad, you'd be lucky to get Europa League again. So you're going to have to build on it yourself, keep building the team up, coach them the way you want to, and I'm sure in some time you can bring home a Premier League title to West Ham United. Sticking in England, and I think another club that represents a fun 4-5 season job would be Crystal Palace. I'm managing them in this save. They have got a pretty nice squad, particularly with the fact that they've just signed Edouard up front. He is highly rated in Football Manager, at least in FM21. Whether he'll keep that kind of ability in the new game is another question, but he's definitely a good option up top. They've got some good youth prospects in the like of Eze, Gerhi, who's just joined from Chelsea. Michael Olise is also in from Reading as well, from the Championship, so he'll be an interesting option to use. Assuming not much changes going into FM22 in terms of how Crystal Palace is set up, they've got good facilities, a good stadium, and the board seem to back them a fair bit as well. I'm actually running currently a rebuild that's going to be on my own channel in a few days, where I rebuild Crystal Palace in one video. So if that is the kind of video you think you'd like to watch, then feel free to find my channel linked in the description. It might already be out, probably won't be just yet, but if you hit the subscribe button, hopefully you'll see it when it does come out. Okay, so for the next few teams we're going to be heading over to Germany and the Bundesliga. I'm not going to focus too much on each individual club. I'm going to try and get through it fairly quick, but we've got Hoffenheim here. I think they represent a fun challenge based on the fact that not only are they a fairly reputable team in Germany already, so it shouldn't be the hardest job in the world to topple Bayern Munich. Don't get me wrong, it won't be easy. But they also have a very good squad in the fact that it's quite a balanced one, a good mix of youth and experience, although there's not too many 35, 36, 34-year-olds on loads of wages, dragging the club down. Everyone here seems like they'd be useful players, and if not, you'd be able to sell them on. There is a big focus on youth, however, and the reason that I quite like them as a option to manage is the fact that they start with very good youth and training facilities. Assuming this carries over in FM22, if you can pick up their youth recruitment and their academy coaching, you might be looking at some very good youngsters coming through, and maybe you can topple Bayern Munich, not with your spending power, but with some homegrown talent. I mentioned Hoffenheim having a good reputation in the Bundesliga, but Bayer Leverkusen have even more. This club are often seen fighting on the European stages, so they're no stranger to challenging for big silverware, but the fact they haven't won a Bundesliga yet did surprise me. Now, one of the fun things about managing Leverkusen is the fact that, by the looks of their history, they've been the nearly club for a long time. I mean, 5 runners-up places in the Bundesliga, a runners-up in the Champions League in 2002, and not only that, I think you'll be starting with a very good team, but particularly the player I'd be most interested in using if you were managing this club, particularly in FM22, will be Florian Wirtz. Another young German talent plying his trade out in Leverkusen, and I think he is going to, well, I mean, he was already very good in FM21, but I think he'll jump up a level in FM22, and he's also already appearing with the German national team, I believe, as well. I think he might have even scored, but Wirtz is going to be a great prospect, so you're already going to have a player to basically build your whole team around. Not only that, they've got some good young players in the squad already. I think they've got a strong squad, and you'll notice I'm saying that about a lot of the teams, but that's the reason I've kind of picked these sides. I'm not picking the teams at the bottom of the barrel in that league. I'm picking teams that will be a fun challenge, but will also be doable for you guys, maybe as an first save or second save that you try and do on FM22. It will probably only be a short-term one, a 3 or 4 season thing with these kind of clubs, and that way you won't get bogged down in the whole 10 season save that you start off with, get tired out of Football Manager, and then don't want to play it anymore, because I know that can happen to some people. So starting off with something like this could be good fun. Similarly to Hoffenheim, Bayer Leverkusen have very good facilities, including their training youth facilities, but they also have great youth recruitment and good junior coaching. If you can level them up a little bit more, you might be getting a Florian Wirtz every 2 or 3 seasons at this rate. But I think they're a very good prospect. As are the final club that we're looking at here, RB Leipzig, formed in 2009. They are yet to win a league title. Obviously, there is a lot of controversy about how the club raised their way from the lower leagues of the German divisions into the top division and now a Champions League regular pretty much. But in Football Manager, to be honest, that doesn't really matter. You're going to be managing a team that, in Football Manager sense, is a very, very fun squad to manage because of the fact that, and I know I mentioned there's youth in many of these teams, but the whole game plan at Leipzig seems to be buying young players and developing them, which is any Football Manager player's dream. I think if you were managing Leipzig, you could potentially win the league and even the Champions League within a few seasons just because of the young talent they've got. The spine of your team is going to feature the likes of Dominik Szoboszlai, who is one of the best, if not the best, young Hungarian players to come out in probably the last decade or so. You've got Josko Gvardiol, who featured at the Euros for Croatia and is a very good option at the back, providing he doesn't get a massive downgrade in FM22. You've definitely got one of the best centre-backs, young centre-backs in the world, should I say, with Szoboszlai in front of him. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, by the way. And they've also brought in Iliax Mariba from Barcelona, who was one of, if not my favourite wonderkid in FM21 playing for Barcelona. And the fact that he's gone to Leipzig means that you're going to have, I mean, them two in midfield together, Mariba and Szoboszlai, with Gvardiol behind them. Dani Olmo is another one to mention. You might have a bit of interest in him to fend off, but him in front of them two in midfield with Nordi Mukiel, Christopher Nkunku, this is a very good team already. Even Henriks, I remember him, he was a wonderkid a couple of years back, I'm sure. Throw in some more talent in the likes of Angelino, Klosterman, Poulsen, Silva, Forsberg, Campbell. There are plenty of good players in this squad. You arguably wouldn't even have to do that much to make this team a title challenging team. They should probably be about there already. So I think they're going to be such a fun club to manage. So if any of you guys are going to give it a go, let me know. As a few Bundesliga options, those 3 will be great fun and will keep you occupied for enough of time, but not enough to make yourself bored. Staying in a similar vein, we're going to Italy and to Atalanta, where it's another club like Leipzig and Leverkusen, where I don't think you'd have to do too much to get this club to a level where you can challenge for a title. They are pretty regularly in Europe now, which is obviously good for the finances, good for the books. I'm conscious of taking up too much of your guys' time, so we'll just say that Atalanta are already a very good team, good facilities, that kind of thing, good squad, but I think there are probably only 2 or 3 players off potentially challenging for the title. Plus, there's quite a few players here who are likely to have interest in them. the squad is doing pretty good and not much will be needed to take these guys to challenges for the title. They've brought in some good players recently too. That's a team I've picked for Italy. Now let's head over to Spain, where we'll look at Espanyol. Espanyol are a second division team in FM21 in Spain. However, they have now made it back to the top division. They are in La Liga. They've already got a good reputation. If we look at their facilities, they're already doing pretty well in the fact that they've got superb youth and training facilities. Even if that got downgraded a little bit, I think you'd still be very happy with that in FM22 to start off with. They have never won a Spanish league title, and maybe with the fact that Barcelona might start to struggle, Real Madrid probably not the best they've ever had in terms of their squad. Atletico Madrid, you know, maybe your Espanyol team can get up to the top and fill the gap of that dominant title winning side. Don't get me wrong, out of all the clubs we've looked at so far, I reckon Espanyol might present the hardest challenge in terms of winning the league title. They're not going to have it all straight away, but I still think it won't be the hardest in the world. I think it'll be good fun too. So Espanyol is my pick for Spain, and now let's move on to Portugal. And over here I've picked Braga. Now don't get me wrong, I don't know absolutely everything about world football, but I was quite shocked that I didn't know that they hadn't won a league title. In my head, I would have expected at some point Braga might have won a league title, but they haven't. They've won a few Portuguese cups. They've came runners-up once in the Portuguese top division. They came runners-up in the Euro Cup in 2011. I didn't know that, to be honest. But as you can see, they are missing that league title. Now, that's not to say that they've been failing. There are some very dominant teams out in Portugal. I imagine competing with them guys financially isn't an easy job. I mean, all you have to do is hit this Premier League button and you can see the last few winners of the Portuguese Premier League as of the start of FM21. There's not much between just the likes. It's basically Porto, Benfica, occasionally Sporting, a Boa Vista win here, and other than that, I mean, there's been no chance for Braga to get up there because these teams have been absolutely dominant. So if you're going to upset that dominancy, you're going to have to build the club up. There's going to be work to be done. Facilities-wise, again, they are in very good shape, which means you shouldn't have the biggest problem in the world developing players and training players that you already have at your club. And then senior squad-wise, they're not exactly stacked with talent compared to the likes of Porto and Benfica, as we did mention. But if you invest your money in the right way, there is a good chance that in a couple of years, if you buy young, let's say, then players could develop and you could potentially try and topple that Porto, Benfica dominance, get yourself in the Champions League, maybe do a Mourinho, win the Champions League with a Portuguese team like he did with Porto. If you can do that, you'll be doing a very, very good job with Braga. And that leads us on to our final team in the video, and that is FC Groningen out in the Netherlands. Now, don't get me wrong, I haven't listed every exhaustive team that you could have used. I barely even scraped the surface in terms of nations. I mean, I'm not even finished in Europe here. There's plenty of other teams in the world that have never won a league title. But Groningen for me is an interesting one. Only a few years ago I managed Vitesse in the Eredivisie and I had great fun out in Holland. I like the idea of developing players out of your own club's youth academy, and I think Groningen could be another good example of doing that. They've got great facilities considering they're not one of the top title challengers like your likes of AZ, PSV, Ajax, the teams that you'd expect to be winning the title. But I think the job could be done here. They haven't won too much in their past. Their squad isn't exactly rammed with amazing players already. There's going to be work to do, but I think that's the fun. This is probably the hardest challenge alongside Espanyol. I can't give a specific reason why Groningen called to me, but I just really enjoy managing in the Eredivisie, and if you guys haven't done it yet, I think you'll have a whale of a time. As you can see, it's a very Dutch-heavy team here, as you would expect, but with a bit of investment, who knows what you could do. Maybe you invest it all into the facilities and develop your own youth players to eventually topple Ajax at their own game, or maybe you buy some talent from abroad, bring it in, and try and beat the big boys in that way. But that's the end of today's video, guys. As I did mention, there's going to be a few more videos in a similar nature where we look at clubs who have never done this or fallen giants, that kind of thing. So if there's any kind of videos you'd like to see, whether it's more obscure teams or easier teams, do let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching and sticking with me. Don't forget to like the video if you did enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Goodbye.